look, even in Europe, they're raising interest rates or they're doing certain things. We're doing nothing. Nothing. And we have this pitiful, tap dance between the Democrats and Republicans ahead of the debt ceiling, raise, on August 2nd. It's just silly. It's so boring. I mean, I don't even want to listen to it. Like a bunch of little children talking to each other. They got to have to talk to the American public and say, hey, we got to fix things, and it's not going to be pleasant. Until they do that, forget about it.
You just led perfectly into my next question. Do you think the American debt is unserviceable, personal and public?
It certainly looks that way. I mean, I don't have the exact numbers, but I mean, they're doing nothing about it. And we'll see they'll do nothing again. And then anything they say they're going to do, it's over the next 10 years. Huh? You got to do it now because can you imagine? Things are bad now with interest rates near zero. Longer-term rates a little higher. What happens when our interest rates start to go way up? How are they going to service the debt?
They can't. I mean, there's going to be a cap on the maximum interest rate. We sure can't push it back up to 18 like we did under Volcker.
Well, I don't know, but I'm saying you're right. But this is going to be. I mean, what's going to happen then? Things are bad now. What's going to happen? I mean, and of course, the longer they keep interest rates at zero, the greater the inflationary pull is in the United States. So we're doing nothing, and eventually everyone's going to say these people won't do anything. And I'll be surprised if the dollar, doesn't collapse at some point.
Okay, I tend to agree. And actually, I'm curious, do you think that that's going to come from the rejection via foreign investors, domestic debtors' failure, both, or something else?
Well, of course, the ones that invest in this, the Chinese and some other people, the Japanese, they don't want anything to tank because they don't want their money to go down the drain, So everyone has to be a little careful about not pushing too hard here or there. But I think eventually, the foreigners are just going to start pulling money out of here. That's my guess.
Okay, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Hi, Bill. It's Brad again. You've mentioned your conference in London. I just wondered if you could give us a bit of a breakdown of that. Are there any places left? Who's attending? And what's the kind of general synopsis?
Excuse me for interrupting. It's pretty exciting. We only have room for. Here's the schedule. We have a Thursday night reception. It's going to be fun, little blackjack tables, and say hello to people, and it's all casual except well, then we have the speakers the next day, which you'll get into, and have a lunch, which people stay together, which is different than most conferences. Dinner that night. Eric Sprott's the speaker. Dancing afterwards. We supposedly got the best DJ in London, and then Sunday another day till around 3:34, about 4 in the afternoon, and another cocktail party afterwards, and that's it. And optional for people that want to go that are hanging around. We're going to have a cruise on the Thames the next day from Monday to from 1 to 4.
Oh,
just casual. Again, the whole thing is that we want the speakers to mingle with people, and the people get to know each other and make friends. And a lot of conferences I know that I go, I speak, and I run away, I'll be honest with you. And this is going to be, we hope, different. It's the way it was at Gold Rush 21, and we're hoping to make it more like that in the 6th-year anniversary of it. We hope to have a press conference, and if they come in, someone writes about it ahead of time and right before the reception. But we know my feeling there, and this would be a miracle if that happens. But the speakers are incredible. As I mentioned earlier, John Embry and Eric Sprott, James Turk, this guy James McShirley, who is one of our superstars, and clinically, show how the market. Pardon?
He's the 2% guy, isn't he? He's the guy that found the manipulation stopping at 1% and 2%. Is that right?
Yeah. That's James, and again, he's got it all documented, and he knows the futures market. Why he knows he's the CEO of a lumber company. He's traded futures many, many years. So we have pros like that. You've got Adrian Douglas. You've got this guy Jim Rickards, who is head of Omni Capital, who was the LTCM's lawyer. Ben Davies. They said Indy Capital. Then there's Hugo Salinas Price, one of the richest men in Mexico, Mr. Silver of Mexico, Peter George, and Mr. Gold of South Africa, Andrew McGuire, the whistleblower,
Amazing. All-star cast then.
Oh, this is as good as it gets. And
is Jeff Christian going, is he?
We see. This is what gets me. This guy's freaking old wacko, I swear to God. He was speaking to the Silver Summit. It's the one conference he goes to that I go to.
Yeah.
Well, and he wants to, supposedly he just challenged me to a debate, I guess the one coming up in October. But get this, 2 years ago, and it was in front of everybody, he said the price of gold was under $1,000. He said the price of gold was going to average $946 for the next decade.
Yeah.
Now, how wrong? And when we were at the Silver Summit last October, he and John Nadler of Kitco were there pounding the table. They were betting on silver. Lost my train. Jeff Franklin at the spot, and myself were pounding the table bullish. The silver goes from 23 to 50. I don't even know how these guys can show their faces any place. I mean, it's one thing to be wrong, but it's one thing to be arrogant and wrong, and then and still get on our case when we've been so right. I don't know how they can. It's just they're laughable.
You may get a better reception in London. I don't know if you've heard the news about the media in London at the moment. The troubles that the Murdoch Empire are having.
Yes, I know. Maybe the that's kind of a scandal will lead the media to want to look for more of a scandal, just as big a scandal, which is what we have.
Yeah, it's worldwide. It's enormous, isn't it? That's great. Thanks a lot, Bill. Thank you very much. Cheers.
My pleasure.
Vito, did you have one more question?
Yes, I do. Bill, I just wanted to congratulate GATA on their recent victory versus the Federal Reserve over their withholding gold-related documents in spite of the Freedom of Information Act, in which GATA was awarded $2,870. And also, I just wanted to tell you that Christmas came early for me one year when, on January 31st, 2008, GATA put in a full-page ad in the Wall Street Journal, which cost you guys $264,000, exposing the fact that the U.S. gold reserves have not had a independent and full audit in over 50 years. And I thank you personally for that. It was a great day for me. And I always listen to every interview you ever do on goldseek.com with Chris Waltzek. I like your La Metropole work that you do. And my one final dark question for you is, it appears to me that all the same players, being J.P. Morgan Chase, Goldman Sachs, and this time Archer Daniels Midland, it appears to me that all these guys are fixing the food prices and that perhaps we're in store for some exciting times ahead of us. Do you perceive this to be true?
I honestly haven't followed it that closely, so I don't want to get into something again that I haven't thought about. No, but nothing would surprise me after what I've learned about the gold and silver markets and what goes on maybe in the medical industry. It's what's really going on behind the scenes is really an eye opener. I will go real quickly before we go here on we sued the Fed and what you were talking about, and a judge. We're asking about what kind of gold swap operation they have and what's going on and so on, because one of their federal Board of Governors, a guy named Warsh, mentioned it, and we got and in a letter to us, and but he didn't. He was just vague, and he didn't say anything. So we went back to the Fed under the Freedom of Information Act to sue them about information about. President Obama says, get the truth out there, be transparent. Well, of course, they came back, with 10 questions or something like that, and they wouldn't want to answer any, and the judge ruled they didn't have to answer 9, but did have to answer 1, and because of that, what is there not to talk about? The gold's supposed to be just sitting there. But we know that something's wrong, and, of course, just by them not answering the question says something wrong, but the one the judge forced them to, and then in doing so, had them give us the amount of money you said, that $2,800 for our legal fees. And so while it wasn't a total victory, it surely was a victory, as you said, and it's a big deal for us because, again, it's simple. What is there not to talk about? It's so silly, this stuff. But it's actually a big league thing. Again, as I mentioned twice before, they'd rather talk about our nuclear secrets than the gold secrets. And that's what we're trying to expose. So thank you for your for what you said, and I'm glad it was you appreciate it. At least we know there was somebody out there that did.
Well, it really is appreciated.
In terms of the ad is really what I'm talking about. But
well,
anyway, it's been a great journey. As I said, I've met a whole bunch of great people, and most interesting thing I've ever done in my life, and most rewarding, and the culmination of all this is going to be our trip to London, and I leave 2 weeks from tomorrow, so I'm getting pretty pumped up for it.
I sure wish I could be there, and I just got to tell you, I appreciate what you do, and I know you're helping the world, and you give us hope.
Thank you. Well, we do what we can.
Okay, Bill, this is Romans. I want to thank you on behalf of everybody on the WebBot Forum very much for your time tonight. We really appreciated your candidness and your excellent answers to our questions. It's really been an honor to chat with you, and we hope this has been as enjoyable for you as it has been for us.
Oh, yeah, no, this was terrific. It gets me warmed up for my conference, and the questions were terrific, and I thought spot on, and it's been a good hour and a half, and I said I enjoyed it, and I'll thank you.
Well, that's great. We'll certainly be pulling for continued success of GATA and yourself, and hopefully this continued fight against the gold and silver market manipulation will reach fruition at some point here in not too distant future. We hope you have a great conference over there in London. That's coming up in August, I believe. And listeners, once again, you can learn more and support GATA at GATA.org. You can also visit and become involved in Bill's blog at Bill Murphy's Cyberspace Cafe for gold investors at lametropolecafe.com. On behalf of Fox and all the members of the WebBot Forum, we thank you very much, Bill.
Thank you.
And in our own WebBot Forum tradition, may you and your family have many of your favorite pies to come.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Dan.
Cheers, Bill.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Bill. It was great.
Thanks, Bill.
Have a nice summer. Bye-bye.